Welcome to CCN News. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and these are some of your top stories for today, January 17, 2020. Trump's impeachment defense experts includes Kenneth Starr and Alan Dershowitz. 25-year-old woman upset by emergency room wait visit heads to urgent care but later dies. Dems ask AG Barr and FBI Director Wray to deny Senate access to Alexandra Chalupa's records. Former Texas nurse suspected in killings of dozens of children gets a life sentence. And in some entertainment news, Barack Obama shares a birthday message to Michelle. In every sense, you are my star. The Banker is back on Apple's set theatrical streaming release date for film. Let's get to the news. President Donald Trump's defense team for the Senate trial will include former independent counsel Ken Starr, who investigated President Bill Clinton, and famed defense attorney Alan Dershowitz. Sources familiar with the White House's plans and the presidential legal strategy told NBC News on Friday. The legal team will be led by the White House counsel Pat Cipollone and Trump's personal lawyer Jay Sekulow. Also joining the team is Robert Wray, who succeeded Ken Starr as Clinton's special counsel. The sources say Pat Bonney, the former Florida Attorney General, and Jane Raskin, a Miami-based criminal defense lawyer who also, with her husband, was already part of Trump's personal legal team, are expected to be a part of the president's impeachment defense, said one of the sources familiar to the White House's plans. A Milwaukee woman went to an emergency room for chest pains, but after an hour-long wait to see a doctor, she left and went to seek help at an urgent care. Before she could get inside, she collapsed near her car, died later. Tashana Ward, 25, arrived at the Frottert Hospital emergency room with her sister at 4:58 p.m. on January 2nd, according to the Milwaukee County's medical examiner's office. She was complaining of chest pains and wanted to see a doctor. Multiple tests were performed, and then an x-ray that showed she had a cardiomegaly and enlarged heart, the report says. Ward's family told the Milwaukee Sentinel that after the tests were performed, she was asked to stay in the waiting room until further medical care could be provided. How can you triage someone with shortness of breath and chest pains and stick them in the lobby? Andrea Ward, Ward's cousin, asked the newspaper. In a Facebook post on January 2nd, Ward complained about how crowded the emergency room was. In the second post, she said it was ridiculous that she had been waiting for hours, even though her symptoms were chest pains and shortness of breath. According to the medical examiner's office report, Ward left the emergency room around 7:30 p.m. because she felt as if she was waiting too long and decided to go to an urgent care. She had been in the emergency room for about 2.5 hours when she decided to seek help elsewhere. About an hour after she left the emergency room, staff called her on her cell phone to check where she was and to be informed by her sister that Ward had collapsed near their car outside of the urgent care center. She was rushed by ambulance back to the hospital, where she was pronounced dead just before 11:30 p.m. One of our top stories. Dems asks AG Barr and FBI Director Wray to deny Senate access to Alexandria Chalupa's records. Senator Ron Wyden, a Democrat of Oregon, on Thursday asked Attorney General William Barr and FBI Director Christopher Wray to refuse to cooperate with the Senate Finance Committee investigation request for records voluntarily provided by the FBI by former Democratic National Committee consultant Alexandra Chalupa. Wyden said Turning over the records would have a chilling effect on victims hacked by foreign governments and prevent them from voluntarily turning over evidence in the future. After noticing she had been a potential victim of a Russian cyber attack back in 2016, Chalupa informed the FBI and allowed agents to digitally image her laptop and smartphone in connection with the investigation into the Russian election meddling. Senator Chuck Grassley, a Republican out of Iowa, and Ron Johnson, a Republican out of Wisconsin, the Republican chairs of the Senate Finance Committee and the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, wrote a letter in November to Barr and Wray seeking the digital images of Chalupa's device as part of an investigation into debunking the conspiracy theory that Ukraine meddled in the 2016 presidential election. A former Texas nurse suspected in killing dozens of children pleads guilty Thursday in the 1981 death of an 11-month-old boy, receiving a life sentence that a prosecutor said should ensure that she dies in prison. Jean Jones, 69, was imprisoned in 1984 for killing one child and giving an overdose to another. She had been set to be released in 2018 under a mandatory release law that was in place when she was convicted. But prosecutors in 2017, citing new evidence, filed 5 new murder charges against her related in the death of children in the early 80s. With this plea, the odds that she will be able to take her last breaths in prison, prosecutor Catherine Babbitt said after hearing in San Antonio. Children died of unexpected seizures and other complications when Jones worked at the San Antonio Hospital and Clinic in Curryville, about 55 miles and 90 kilometers northwest of San Antonio. Prosecutors at Jones's 1984 murder trial said that she had injected children with drugs to demonstrate the need for a pediatric intensive care unit at a nearby hospital. Other prosecutors had theorized that her tactic was to take swift medical action and save some of her victims, so she could appear to be a sort of a miracle worker. Entertainment news: former President Barack Obama on Friday shared a birthday message to his wife Michelle Obama, posting a series of photo booth style pictures with the former First Lady. "In every sense, you are my star," at Michelle Obama. "Happy birthday, baby," Barack Obama wrote on Twitter to celebrate his wife's 56th birthday. The 4 photos showed the pair who were married in 1992 goofing off in a photo booth. One snapshot shows the former commander-in-chief giving his wife a peck on the cheek. He throws up the peace sign in another. Michelle Obama's birthday comes just days after the couple celebrated American Factory, a film they produced, receiving an Oscar nomination for Best Documentary Feature. American Factory debuted on Netflix in August and is the first project produced by the Obamas. Production company Higher Ground. Other entertainment news: The Banker is back. Apple sets theatrical streaming release date for film. After indefinitely delaying the film to review concerns, Apple has now issued a new release date for The Banker. The film is one of Apple's first major film releases, was set to be an award contender. However, back in November of 2019, Apple learned of allegations against the son of one of the film's real-life subjects, who was a co-producer of the film. 2 daughters of Bernard Garrett Sr., who was portrayed by Anthony Mackie in the film, are alleged that their half-brother Bernard Garrett Jr. sexually abused them when they were younger. Cynthia Garrett also seems to dispute the timeline of some of the events that was depicted in the movie, as her mother, who is not shown in the film, was married to Garrett Sr. when a lot of the events took place, and not his first wife, Eunice, portrayed by Nia Long. Garrett Jr. has denied the allegations. He was also removed as a producer of the film. After the allegations were made known, Apple pulled the film from its premiere at AFI Fest and has postponed its release. The streaming date was never announced. Apple put out a statement and said, "We created Apple TV as a home for stories that matter and believe the banker, inspired by the brave actions of Bernard Garrett Sr. and Joe Morris, two African-American businessmen who brought about positive social change in one of those stories." The theatrical release of this film is set for March 6, 2020, and available on Apple TV Plus on March 20th, 2020. Thank you for watching CCN News. I am your host, Captivating Christian. And please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, please be the change that you want to see. So go out and be that change. And once again, please like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching CCN.